What's up guys, it's Adam FPL and welcome back to another video here on my channel. First of all, I'd like to wish everyone a happy holidays as this is the last game week before Christmas and the game week 15 deadline is after the holidays, so I hope you guys spend the holidays safely and spend it with as much of your family as possible. I know it's been a tough year, so happy days I wish for all of you. With that being said, in this video I'm going to briefly go over my team and how it went on in game week 14, how my team is looking for game week 15 and the future game weeks, and what my transfers are and my plans for that double game week in 19 and that blank game week in game week 18. So without further ado, like and subscribe and all that good stuff if you enjoy my content, and let's get into the video. So in game week 14 I got my most total points by far this game week, and probably one of the highest game weeks I've had in my whole FPL playing career with 92 points, which will actually end up being 97 once a player comes off the bench for the injured Lamptey. And this was just a great game week overall for me. I've seen on Twitter and all over some FPL pages that there's been some really high scores across the board, with some in the hundreds, a lot of people in the 70s and 80s and the 90s. So and the average is pretty high, I think around 60. So good game week for a lot of people. Hopefully you guys did well. And yeah, I just had a really good game week. I basically have my ranked from 1.2 million to about 600k now, in the mid 600ks. So this is a great thing for me as this is the game week before Christmas, and I was kind of hoping to get into the top 1 million by Christmas game week. So this is a big step forward for me and for my season. Hopefully this is a turning point and I can continue to build on this, as this is kind of what I've been hoping for, playing sensibly, playing slowly and surely, and making smart decisions, captaining the right players and bringing in the correct players for the longer term, and it's starting to work out for me. So I'm happy to get in that top 1 million, and I'm happy to move on and hopefully hope for some more positive game weeks in the future. So going on to the starting 11 for game week 14, we first have Martinez in net again with a solid 6 points. He faced West Brom, and from watching the highlights and reading on some FPL post-match news, West Brom never really threatened Martinez, and Martinez is picking up form. He has clean sheets in his last 3 games, and I'm really bearing the fruit of holding him for that blank game week, as now he's getting the points from me, and that's great to have, and he's a goalie that I don't plan on getting rid of anytime soon. And Lamptey with a 0-pointer, so I played him for the Sheffield matchup, but this was just a good matchup, even though Brighton did concede to a 10-man Sheffield, and Lamptey didn't end up playing, so I guess it's kind of a good thing for me, as Charlie Taylor came in off the bench with 5 points. He got an assist against Wolves today, and yeah, Lamptey hopefully he's okay, but he may be a possible transfer out, as he's just subject to all these knocks, and Brighton can't keep a clean sheet lately. And Chilwell with 1 point, another unfortunate injury in my defense this week. So Chilwell played 10 minutes today before coming off with an ankle sprain. We don't know for sure yet how bad it is, so we'll have to listen to Lampard's post-match press conference and him talking during the week to see how the extent of Chilwell's injury, and hopefully I won't have to transfer him out, as he's a great player in my team. We now have Cancelo against Southampton, so City kept that clean sheet, winning 1-0 against Southampton. Cancelo continues to start. I think he started about 9 of the past 10 games, so he hasn't been the most victimized in Pep Roulette, and this is a great thing for me as I've held on to him, and Man City's fixtures are continuing to be good for defensively fixtures again, as their offense hasn't really been producing, and it's been a lot more defense this season with City, so I'm happy to have a City defender already in my team. Now into my midfield in game week 14, and wow, did they put on a show. Most of my midfielders were on fire and put up solid scores, and first we have Salah with 16. So Salah was rested against Palace originally, and everyone was panicking, but he came on in the, I think, 57th minute for Mane, and he did what Salah does, the FPL king. All he needed was a few minutes to score 2 goals and get an assist, and Palace got thumped by Liverpool 7-0, so Salah with 16 pointers. A 16-pointer, captaincy looked good for Salah captainers there, and everyone was kind of getting worried and unlucky with their, because a lot of people were going to captain Salah, but now we have Grealish with 10 points against West Brom. So Grealish never looked like he was going to score, but he's always threatening to get them assists, and he's always creating numerous chances for the likes of Traore, Watkins, and El Ghazi, and he's just such a value player to have at his price. There's no one better even close in his price bracket, and yeah, I'm happy to keep him, as he's got double game weeks coming in the future, and they've still got some decent fixtures in the long run, so good from Grealish. And Fernandes was my captain, and Bruno Fernandes is just a player this season. He's probably the second most essential to Mo Salah, and he gets a 17-pointer, beating out Salah narrowly by a point, and Leeds got thumped by United 6-2. Kind of knew it was going to be a pretty open game, and Fernandes and Salah were my top two captains all week, so I'm pretty happy with that decision. And Fernandes with 2 goals and an assist, like Salah matching him, and getting 2 bonus points. So I'm really happy that he was my captain, my best captaincy pick of the season, and it's a huge contributor to my high point score. So finally we have Son with a surprising blank, not quite often as he has been doing lately, but he did have one big chance that he surprisingly didn't finish, but it was a tough matchup against Leicester, and he has one more tough fixture against Wolves before they get really good, so I'm going to hold Son for now as he's great value as well. Now into the forward line this week, where it was a pretty decent week, nothing big, but pretty okay overall. We first have Callum Wilson, who got that lucky penalty against Fulham at the end of the game. Newcastle were pretty toothless the whole game, and many people were kind of irritated that non-Wilson owners especially, that it was a dive and whatever. I don't think it was a red card, but I'm lucky to get those Wilson points, and he's just so clinical, one chance, and he gets the points. Good little differential for me, he's my lowest owned forward. And Calvert-Lewin with 4 points. He keeps getting those FPL assists, which is kind of funny because he hasn't really been scoring much, but he's been getting those assists off getting the penalty earned or own goal, like he did against Arsenal when the ball went off holding. And yeah, good for Calvert-Lewin. He just keeps getting the points. Happy to hold him. Bamford with 2 points. I didn't watch the whole game, but I was hearing and reading that Bamford just had a ton of chances again, and he could have put one away and scored at least. But that's just how it is owning Bamford. He gets a ton of chances, and he will continue to do so, and he will finish some of them, and he will also miss a lot of them. That's just kind of the player he is. But at 6 million, that's kind of what you expect at his price. And Leeds have that double game week coming up and a couple good fixtures, so Bamford is a hold for now on my team. Now into my current bust team for Game Week 15. As you can see, I have 1.5 million in the bank, and I also have 2 free transfers as I only used one last week and rolled the other one. So we have a few issues I can probably start to work on and build towards the double Game Week 19, which is probably going to be my strategy. Most likely I'll come out with a video on chip strategies later in the week, and that'll be coming out later, so stay tuned for that. But for now, we first have Martinez in net again against Crystal Palace. Nothing changed here. Another good fixture. Hopefully he keeps a clean sheet again, although Aston Villa statistically have been better defensively away from home. But Crystal Palace is nothing to be worried about, and hopefully he can get some kind of points here. It's not the worst, but it's not the best fixture. Then we have Cancelo against Newcastle. Great fixture if he starts in that City defense, although I feel like a rest is coming soon, as he's been playing all these games in a row, and Walker and Mendy have gotten their rest, so I think a rest is bound for him eventually. Chilwell, so he should be flagged, but I made this graphic before he got injured, and Chilwell, hopefully it's not too bad of an injury, but if he's out for one game, it's not the end of the world. They have decent bench depth, and I'll talk about my transfers later that could help with that. And Justin against United, it's not ideal to play him in this fixture, but Leicester are a solid team, and this could go either way, to be honest, so we'll see what happens there, but I'm mostly playing him because Wilson plays Manchester City, and I don't think Newcastle will get much against City. We now have Lamptey as my last defender, who is probably just holding the spot for one of my transfers, so not much there. Onto the midfield, we have the same 4 I've been rolling out with for the past few game weeks, and it's been working well for me. So we first have Salah against West Brom, an ideal matchup for captaincy, which I'll briefly touch on in a bit. And yeah, Salah's the man in form. He's just a great person to have, basically essential now that he's doing so well. And I'm happy to have him for West Brom and for the upcoming double game week, and just for a long time this season now. Grealish against Crystal Palace. Like I said with Martinez, this is the last of Aston Villa's pretty decent fixtures before they turn hard and they verse some of the top 6 teams. But Grealish can get something against any team. He's just such a top player, so I'm still going to be keeping him. And for the reasons I said before, like the double game weeks, that's also going to factor into that. Fernandes, another keeper for a while, plays Leicester. He can get anything against any team. He's just so involved in the United attack. A decent captaincy option as well. And yeah, he versus Leicester, so Leicester are quite inconsistent defensively, and they tend to perform better away at home in terms of their defensive statistics, so we'll see what Fernandes can get there. Wolves, Son plays Wolves in that game week 15, which is maybe not an ideal matchup for Son, as Wolves tend to have a pretty tight defense and kind of sit back a little more, but Son, who's just so clinical, can get one chance like he did against Liverpool, so I'm happy to keep him and to have a Spurs player for their great fixtures after this game. Onto the forward line. Of the current bust team for Game Week 15, we're actually only playing with 2 forwards in a 4-4-2 formation, and the first of those is Calvert-Lewin against Sheffield United, which is a great fixture on paper, and hopefully this is a game where he can get back to his scoring ways, as Sheffield are not a very good defense this season, hoping for some points there. And Bamford against Burnley, so Burnley are pretty kind of starting to come along defensively, and this is kind of an interesting game in my opinion because Leeds are kind of the all-out offensive team and Burnley are kind of like the all-out defensive team. Two very different philosophies, and we'll see kind of which one gives in this game. But this is actually a very interesting game in my opinion, Leeds versus Burnley. I've benched Wilson this week because he plays Manchester City, and if I don't get another striker for him, he'll stay there because I don't think Newcastle can get much against Manchester City. And I also have a City defender, so it wouldn't make much sense, and I think it'd be the right decision if I do hold Wilson. In terms of captaincy this week, don't overthink this one. Mo Salah is definitely the best option against West Brom at home. He's at Anfield, he's on form, he's been scoring, he's just been so consistent. You can go Fernandes against Leicester, who's also a pretty reliable option. You could also go Calvert-Lewin potentially against Sheffield, but I kind of like captaining midfielders most of the time because they get the clean sheet points and they just are a lot more reliable in terms of getting double points. But don't overthink this one, guys. Salah is the best captain choice this week. I think that most of the FPL world will be captaining him. So if he plays, he's a great option. He could go wild. So yeah, Salah for the captaincy is an easy pick this week. Now into my transfer plans for this week. Note that these are not locked in. These are just some potential ideas, but potential players I'm looking to get out are Lamptey and Wilson for the reasons I mentioned in the previous segment of the video, and I'm looking to build towards that double game week 19. So some potential players I could get in are Soufal for Lamptey and Adams for Wilson. So Adams, it could be a good option at only 6 million. He's cheaper than Wilson, which will give me more money to play with and upgrade my team in other areas. And he's on a Southampton team that are in form, and if potentially Danny Ings is out, this will mean even more opportunities for Shea Adams, and Theo Walcott will be starting up top. So I think that with Southampton, they're double game week, and with Fulham up next, Shea Adams could be a decent option. And Lamptey to Soufal, apologies if I pronounced that wrong. So Soufal is another double game week player for West Ham, and I think West Ham have perhaps the best two fixtures in that game week 19, playing Burnley and West Brom, I believe. And getting Soufal in, where West Ham, I mean, they're not the best defense, but they have more of a chance of keeping a clean sheet than Brighton. And Dallas could also be an option here, but Leeds cannot get clean sheets to save their lives, and Soufal does get some assists, so I think that Soufal could be a more stable option for the long term. And I think that these are two possible transfers that I'm considering. Obviously, the Chilwell injury muddles things a little bit, and I'll have to factor that into my plans. We'll have to see what Lampard says, how severe it is, but these are just some of my thoughts that I'm potentially looking to do with my two free transfers. That's going to be all for this Game Week 15 team selection and tips preview video. If you guys made it this far and you guys enjoy the content that I'm putting out, smash that like button, subscribe if you're new, and hit that notification bell down below to be the first to get the updates of when I post my new videos. So without further ado, I hope you guys have a happy holidays, and I'll see you on the other side of Christmas and in the next game week in 16. With that being said, it's Adam FPL, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.